Spiffy Nerd Herder channel for the special morning edition. Mostly because I'm lazy and I didn't do a stream last night because, well, it is what it is. So today I want to talk about the only second episode of the Siege of Mandalore arc in Clone Wars because it sucked. I did not like this, and I'm totally lying to you right now. I thought it was awesome. There's just so much great stuff to like about this. I mean, I really feel entrenched with Ahsoka during this whole bit. I mean, her character's great. When there is definitely spoilers with this, so if you haven't seen it, maybe don't watch. But when Maul asks her, kind of how we can see here, when Maul asks her to join him to go and defeat Sidious because he is not a Sith anymore, she is not a Jedi, that they can both defeat Sidious together, she says yes. And when that initially happened, I was thinking, okay, how many times in Star Wars have we seen somebody says, join me? How many times have we gotten the outstretched hand? We've got in The Last Jedi, we've got in Empire Strikes Back, Episode 6, Vader basically says to everybody and their mom, join me, and we can defeat the Emperor. And of course, now here again, Maul says it. We know he'll say it to Ezra Bridger later in Rebels. And Ezra says yes, but Ezra's already been skirting the dark side when that happens. But here, Ahsoka flat out just says yes. And I was honestly a little surprised by that. I thought she would say no. Now, she says yes under the one condition of what do you want with Anakin Skywalker? And then he explains, oh, well, he's been being groomed. Okay, Dennis, what's up? Good to see you. Just finished watching the episode. What did you think? I want to know. Because I thought it was awesome. I am super into this arc. The last two episodes to me have honestly been probably some of the best Clone Wars episodes out there. So I am definitely interested in knowing what she thought. But going back to this idea of, she then discovers what he wants with Anakin, and then that's what changes her mind because, she still has strong feelings of attachment towards Anakin, not in the romantic way, of course, but, she cares for Anakin and she doesn't want anything bad to happen to him. And that's what, that's why she changes. But, I mean, this fight, in the scaffolding above Mandalore, and I've always loved the planet Mandalore. This is a sidebar. I've always loved the design of the planet Mandalore. I think it's probably one of my top 5 planets in Star Wars just because it's so freaking cool. Dale, what's up? Join me. Please join me. I would love to see a Kramer Sith Lord. But the design of Mandalore is just sweet. And I want to know, guys, who do you think, who do you think's in the ship above them? It was, if I recall, it was a female voice, as they're fighting up here in the scaffolding. And this ship appears and says, Maul, we got to go. Did I miss something? Who was that? I don't know. Okay, so Dennis says, wow, these 2 episodes are a new level of Clone Wars. Loved it. It accents Revenge of the Sith so very well. Totally agree. So if you recall, I did a review of I've only done a review of a couple of the episodes for this new Season 7. And one of my big gripes was, yeah, these stories are fine, but especially The Bad Batch, I liked it, but it had nothing to do, it was just too self-contained for me. For me, if you're doing a Season 7, after all the movies have been done, you got to really expand the story. I don't really care about the Bad Batch were cool, but I didn't really care. Didn't really do anything for me. The episodes with Ahsoka and the 2 sisters, they were okay. But this one, finally, I'm thinking, okay, finally we're getting into the greater story of what is Star Wars. And it's now it finally feels like it's consequential, and I'm loving it. I'm loving that this episode is taking place. We are literally concurrently following Anakin's fall to the dark side because he's already killed Dooku at the beginning of this episode, and Maul is feeling the dark side's presence in the Force and how the great plan is about to get set in motion. So Dale says, yeah, who is in that ship? I mean, it was a female voice, right? I mean, I only watched it once, but I felt like it was definitely a female voice. But then it's gone. And I don't know who it could be. I mean, could it be a Jedi? Kira from Solo is not even close to being in the picture yet, so it can't be her. Okay, so when Ahsoka and Maul face off, the slow motion glass breaking was cool. What was your take on the scene? I thought the fight was really great. uh, in general, lightsaber fight choreography is all really cool, but the slow motion glass was cool. I mean, I was digging it. I hope I don't get copyrighted here. But I mean, this bit, when she's deciding whether or not to take his hand, and the sparks are coming in, it was such a great use of atmosphere and location to accent that moment. I loved it. I thought it was really cool. Some people might say, "Oh, it's a little melodramatic," but I say it's a movie. It's not real life. You can do whatever you want, within reason. If you're going Fast and the Furious melodrama, it might be too much, but it's just cool. I'm just kind of jumping ahead here, but and then you got the explosions going off. So they're in the middle of like this battle, yet they're still in this building, so they're fairly protected. But it's just so neat what was the circumstances behind this entire scene. How like she knows her clones need help. He knows that the Mandalorians need help, and of course he betrays them because he's Darth Maul, and he's going to do that. But I want to know, what do you think about? What were some of your favorite parts? I totally want to know theories of who's in the ship. I really kind of, I'm sure somebody out there knows and has called it already, but is it? I don't even know. I mean, who's Darth Maul's biggest supporters? I mean, it was the Mandalorians. Savage Opress is dead, his brother, and it sounded like a girl, I think. Okay, so Dale says it made me wonder a little bit why it was or looked slow-mo. Right then, well, let's look at the parts. Let's go. Let's look at the parts. So Mandalorianos are fighting. Okay, I jumped ahead too much. Sorry, I just don't want to get copyrighted. You know what I mean? I mean, that's definitely slow-mo, for sure. Totally slow-mo. I mean, that's like 96 frames a second if you were to like really do it. I mean, probably even more, maybe 120 or even 256. I don't know. It's hard to tell. But what's interesting to me, especially, is the glasses come in and it's already broken. But if you notice, like Ahsoka, that's all slow mo. But Ahsoka is still blinking. So they are kind of frozen in this moment of decision, while the world around them, they're kind of going still full speed while the world around them has slowed down. And it's a really cool effect. Obviously, much easier to do in animation than it is to do in live action. If you're doing this in live action, it's going to require either some intense rotoscoping or shooting people and different elements and plates on green screens and stuff like that. But in animation, you can do it. And I think it's awesome because when you have a character, usually it's the world speeds up around them. And so it's interesting to see in this instance when the world slows down around them. I think it really heightened the moment of decision for Ahsoka. Because one of the great things in movie making, Ara Singh. It's possible. Hey, why not? Why not? As far as we know, too, there's no female Jedi out there that would have already betrayed the Order, right? That would be helping Maul, as far as I know. I mean, I think if it was a female Jedi, then they probably would have came down and helped him. But Ara Singh's Ara Singh's the best guess I've heard so far. But back to the idea, in filmmaking, you can always manipulate time in editing. So it's very common to take a moment that may take 5 seconds and stretch it out to 15 or 20 seconds. Those moments where, it's like a standoff and you have all the close-up of the eyes and stuff like that, and the twitching of the hands, like the triggers and stuff like that. That moment might take place in 20 seconds on screen, but it may only take place in like 2 seconds in real life. And so filmmaking, you can mess with all this stuff, and it's expected. And you should, because it's our job not to tell reality. It's our job to tell a story and to tell the emotion and get the audience involved. So Dale says, it did. It took me back for a second the first time. I assume you're talking about the slow-mo. So let's see here. So what were some other favorite parts? I mean, in general, I think this moment with Ahsoka and Maul was awesome. But guys, I mean, this is a cliffhanger where I don't know what's going to happen. Because, I mean, Maul straight up is captured. You know, my only guess is that they're like taking him back to the Jedi Temple, and as they're taking him back, maybe that's when Anakin attacks the temple, and he gets freed and all this crap, and maybe even Anakin and Maul fight or something like that. I mean, could you imagine if something like that went down? I would kill for that. I'd kill for it. I have killed for it. Just don't tell anybody. I'm really looking forward to seeing how Maul gets out of this. And it's gotta relate. I mean, because we know they're going to take him to the Jedi Council right now, so it's gotta relate to Order 66. It's gotta relate to the fall of the Jedi. Like by the time he gets there, the Jedi's already fallen, or he gets there during Order 66. I I'm really excited. Okay, so Anakin bringing up Ahsoka up to speed. That Anakin killed Dooku and was asked to spy on Palpatine was great. Totally agree. It was a great moment. At first, I thought he was going to say, "Anakin, Padme's pregnant, and I'm concerned." Or Ahsoka, Padme is pregnant, and I'm concerned what that means with Anakin. Anakin's been gone with her, and all this stuff. Like, it would be great to see him start to worry about that. So I was I loved the bit where he's saying, yeah, he killed Dooku. We've asked him to spy on the Chancellor, but I would have loved to have seen more of the. I mean, Obi-Wan wasn't stupid. I mean, let's be real here. Ahsoka absolutely, I think, suspected something between Padme, and we know Obi-Wan kind of had some suspicions based on, I think, the second episode of season 7, where he says, "I hope you said Padme or told Padme hi for me." They both had suspicions, so it would have been really, really nice for me to have them finally talk it out. You know, finally mention the freaking 3,000-pound elephant in the room. I don't know how heavy elephants are. Maybe they're like 6,000 pounds, but it would have been great to have them just talk that out, because that's the reason Anakin falls to the dark side. And I thought it would have been really cool to see that. But I did like him, Obi-Wan mentioning that they've asked Anakin to spy on Palpatine. So, you know, that's setting up a conversation which will most likely happen possibly in the next episode between Ahsoka and Anakin. And I'm looking forward to seeing what that conversation is. Because we know in, like, you know, at some point, you know, Anakin says, "Why didn't you help me? You know, if you were there for me, you know, I could have been saved." So maybe this is a moment where Anakin asks Ahsoka for help, and she declines, or something like that. And I'm referring to, I think it's like a Force vision that Ahsoka has in Rebels, if I recall, where she feels that Anakin was partly blaming her for his fall to the dark side. Okay. So Dennis says, "I don't think Maul gets back to the Jedi Temple. I think Maul will flee during Order 66. Anakin is Maul's replacement. Maul may be a target of Order 66. That would be interesting. You know, one of the things that I've been thinking of is Order 66 the, you know, is it a command to kill Force users, or is it a command to just kill Jedi? So, you know, I suspect that Ahsoka will be exempt from Order 66 because she is not a Jedi, and when Rex and, you know, perhaps Wolf and Gregor, the guys we know who take out their inhibitor chips and don't perform Order 66, you know, are they going to be with Ahsoka at the time, and they work it out together of what's going on, and maybe that's why they take out their chips. I don't know. Okay, so Dale says, if Obi-Wan would have said something before that he's worried about Anakin and Padme's relationship or something, she might have believed him. But his history with Satine, he just didn't. That's interesting. Yeah, that's a good point. You know, him not wanting to mention it because of his relationship or his history with Satine is a good point. You know, I was really surprised because, you know, in the old seasons of Clone Wars, there's one scene where Obi-Wan goes into Anakin's bedroom in the Jedi Temple. And it's while Padme is kind of like doing her undercover thing with Rush Clovis, you know, the guy that she had a relationship with before Episode 2, before like Attack of the Clones. And Anakin's just feeling so angry about this. He's feeling jealous. He's feeling anxious. He doesn't want Padme to do this, and she feels like she's almost kind of emotionally, if not physically, cheating on him. And, you know, this is his wife. And basically, Obi-Wan goes in there and says, you gotta, you know, you can't become attached. I know because of what happened with Satine, you can't do that. And he, but he says it in a way, it's a very roundabout way. He doesn't come out and say, bro, you got to let go of the Padme. He doesn't say that because maybe because of what you're saying here with his history with Satine, where clearly there was something that went on there, whether it was just an emotional relationship, probably, but maybe he didn't want to feel like a hypocrite. I don't know. Maybe he didn't want to accuse Anakin, knowing full well that Anakin might not take it well. I mean, that's a possibility. But he clearly suspected something. At least the seeds of suspecting something. But then once we got into episode 2 of season 7, when he says, "Say hi to Padme for me," I know you talked to Padme alone. That is like, whoa! Clearly, Obi-Wan knew way more than I ever previously thought. And so when he in Revenge of the Sith says, Anakin is the father, isn't he? It's not like Anakin's the father. Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense of why you never talked about the father of your baby, the belly you got. It was more of I've been worried about this, and I always knew I always knew it was true, but I ignored it. It was more a realization for him. It was more an acceptance for him, not a realization. I feel in Revenge of the Sith, and but Ahsoka on the flip side, she had seen Anakin and Padme embrace, so I think she probably knew even more than Obi-Wan. I mean, I think she definitely knew that there was something going on between Anakin and Padme. If you watch it in the I can't remember if it's the Forces of Destiny or Galaxy of Adventure. I think it's Forces of Destiny. There's an episode in there where she flat out sees them embracing after a life or death situation. A romantic embrace. Okay, so Dale says, if Obi-Wan would have said something okay. Oh, he's very jealous, and it drives a wedge between them when he fights Clovis. Yeah, I mean, that's a great scene. I really liked that arc where Padme and Clovis are undercover, or Padme is undercover with Clovis, and Anakin's just so jealous, and we get to see, how far he's willing to take things for her. So it is a foreshadowing of what will eventually happen in Revenge of the Sith. But when he, fights Clovis inside Padme's apartment, and he's like, "Oh, I don't need the Force to kill you," and he, they just go hand to hand at it, and Captain Typho has to basically come in and split them up. It's great. It's great moments. Red Hood, what it is, Red Hood. This episode was incredible. One of the best fights in Star Wars. I agree. This is, I think, I have to probably think about it, but possibly one of the top 5 fights. And for me, it's not, it's rarely because of the choreography, but it's just the stakes of what's at stake in all of this. It's like, I never, and they did such a good job. And I really want to go back and look at it to see exactly how they did it. But Ahsoka and Maul have no history. They really just don't have any history together. Of course, they will when it comes to Rebels. But, he's like, Ahsoka Tano, right? That's your name? Yeah, I was hoping for the bearded dude and the guy with the long hair to come. Not you. Like, what are you doing here? But their relationship progresses so quickly that the writers here, Dave Filoni, who wrote this episode, he's able, and this is not something that like I said, I want to go back and look at this because this is not easy to do, and it's very rarely pulled off. That Dave Filoni is able to take 2 characters who really have had no connection, like serious connection, and he's able to use their mutual connections to connect these 2 characters so quickly and so strongly in a way that makes now their fight uber dramatic and have uber stakes. And I was immensely impressed by that because it's not an easy thing to do. And I'm sure Dave wrestled on this, because the question always is what's the stakes of the fight? So if you look at the Phantom Menace fight between Maul, Obi-Wan, and Qui-Gon Jinn, that fight is awesome, choreography-wise. But the stakes between the characters, it is very weak. In my opinion, it's a very weak fight when it comes to story. And I love it. It's a cool fight. It's one of the best choreography-wise. But it's like they really have no relationship because Maul never really spoke. You never really got to know who this guy was. And it was just kind of weak for me. The Anakin Obi-Wan fight in Episode 3, much stronger because you know what's at stake. Of course, the Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi fights. The stakes are huge in those fights, and the circumstances behind where especially in Return of the Jedi, that they're father and son. The Ahsoka Vader fight at the end of Season 2 of Rebels, to me, is easily one of the best moments of Star Wars because of everything that is led up to it and their relationship. I was going back. My whole point is I'm very impressed how Dave Filoni was able to take two characters who had no relationship or very little relationship with each other and connect them and bond them so quickly that it made their fight meaningful. And yeah, like I said, I got to go back and watch this episode again now that I'm really talking about this because it's such a big deal. Very just impressive writing wise. Okay, what do we got? I thought Obi-Wan telling Anakin to say hi to Padme may have helped build distrust. I am thinking she already told Anakin about them. I'm not sure I understand, Dennis. I'm dense today. Explain. All right. Dale says he worked last night. It's a shame. It's crying shame. And Red Hood brings out a good point that they're both pawns of a bigger game, bigger than themselves. Of a game bigger than themselves. It's true. I mean, it's really interesting. And going back to what connects them, the other connection is that they are neither Sith or Jedi. They don't have those connections anymore. So that's a great point, Dale or Red Hood. Sorry. That's another thing that Dave really exploited. I mean, he made a big point of that. Like, why are you taking me to the Jedi? You're not a Jedi. I don't want the Sith to. I don't want Sidious to accomplish this. I'm not a Sith. Let's take him out together. You want him dead. I want him dead. Let's kill the gangster. And so that was, I guess, another thing. So Dave used their relationships with Anakin and Obi-Wan to connect them, and then their common characteristic of not being a Sith or a Jedi. Very, very good points. Red Hood says, Dennis, I don't think of it that way. Obi-Wan is an idiot. I'm sure he can manage to put two and two together. No, Obi-Wan's not an idiot. I think Obi-Wan for sure knew something. I think he suspected something. I mean, even as close as Episode 2, in Attack of the Clones, when Padme falls out of the gunship right before they get Dooku, he flat out says, don't let your feelings get in the way of the mission. Yeah, I'm paraphrasing, but flat out says, I know you got feelings for her. If you go back for her, you will get expelled from the Jedi Order. Not because, bro, you can't go save a senator, but bro, you can't go save the woman you love. That's not okay. I think Obi-Wan says bro a lot. And I really don't. I don't know why I say it in these live streams. But I think he definitely knew something as early as Attack of the Clones. I mean, even when they were, riding up the elevator to Padme's apartment at the beginning of Episode 2, he's saying, relax, you're sweating, he kind of even knew then. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Let's see here. Dave's the master now. He was the student, but a student the last time he saw George. Okay, Mason, Yoda are villains. Anakin and Ahsoka are pawns for them. Interesting point. Yeah. I mean, one of the things I've been thinking a lot about lately is how much were the Jedi to blame for their downfall? I think it's just an interesting question to me. Like, how much was their arrogance or their, maybe let's call it overconfidence, how much did it contribute to their decline, to their demise? Were they so arrogant that they truly thought, the Sith can't return without us knowing? If the Sith returned, obviously we would know. Did they feel that way? I mean, sometimes I get the feeling they did, especially with Mace, when he flat out says in Phantom Menace, I do not think the Sith could have returned without us knowing, and even Ki-Adi-Mundi says the Sith have been extinct for millennia, so that's been a big question. What do you guys think? What really was the downfall of the Jedi? What caused their downfall? I mean, that's probably the most simple way to put this. What caused their downfall? Okay. Jaden, what's up, man? Maul's desperation at the end of the episode was a huge plus. Loved the moment when he was screaming about how the clones will kill them all soon. I loved it too. I mean, yeah, when he's getting tied up and he's getting dragged away here. This was just so cool. I mean, I was not expecting this, and that's what I love. It's so difficult to make these episodes because you know exactly what's going to happen eventually. You know Maul's not going to die here. We know that. We know that Order 66 is about to happen. We know that the Jedi are about to be demised. But we never knew that Maul was captured, finally. So now it's a question of how does he escape? What happens? And that's always the big thing. It's like when you watch like the show 24, or like a James Bond movie or a Mission Impossible movie, it's not the question of are they going to succeed? That's never the question because, well, if they don't succeed, then you don't really got a great ending to your movie. But it's the question of how they're going to succeed. So right here, it's not the question of how Maul is going to escape, or it's not the question is Maul going to escape. Is the question is how Maul is going to escape. And so that's where the creativity comes in, and I'm very excited to see that. Dennis says, in Revenge of the Sith, Anakin thinks Padme and Obi-Wan are working against them. In this episode, Obi-Wan's message to say hi to Padme could be interpreted by Anakin. There's more between her and Obi-Wan. I can see that, although, so then in one of the original drafts of the script, Anakin thought that Obi-Wan and Padme were kind of having an affair behind his back. But I know George really cut that out because he didn't kind of like what that all implied. So I don't know. I don't interpret it that way, but I can totally see how you do. I could totally see how you do. I personally don't interpret it that way. But it's a good point. I'll have to think about that more because maybe you're onto something. Okay. All right. Yeah, I mean, Anakin is always jealous when he sees her with the other man, no doubt about it. And he definitely does feel like they're working against each other when they show up in Mustafar together. But whether or not that's a romantic thing at that point, I don't think so. He does when they're in the apartment and he's holding and he sees the vision of Obi-Wan with her as she's dying. He's like, Obi-Wan's been here, hasn't he? And he's like, yeah, he came by this morning. He's worried about you. He says you're under a lot of stress. He is concerned about why is Obi-Wan here, but I always felt it was like, why is Obi-Wan close to discovering my secret? Why is Obi-Wan getting involved here? Anakin's primary focus, I feel, in Episode 3 in Revenge of the Sith, prior to his being crowned Darth Vader, to me was not, is Obi-Wan going to discover my secret? It's, is Padme going to die? And so it was all that question, I think, for him of, I can't let anything get in the way of that. This is my primary focus, and I don't want Obi-Wan getting in the way of that. So that's kind of the way I interpreted it. Okay. All right. So regarding my question, Red Hood says, the Jedi shot themselves in their own leg. Not in the foot, but in the leg. I had an uncle who shot himself in the leg, like legitimately. He was trying to like a quick draw, and he had his holster, and he shot too early. As he was pulling it out, he shot and like went down his foot. Fun stuff. Okay, but what he says is, they had all the clues. Dooku literally told Obi-Wan that a Sith Lord had taken over the Senate. They got cocky. They paid the price. Yeah, so one of the things I've been thinking of is like, yeah, they were legitimately told that all the senators were under the influence of a Dark Lord called Darth Sidious, right? I mean, he doesn't say Palpatine Sidious, and then you jump ahead to when, Mace says the dark side of the Force surrounds the Chancellor. And then when Anakin says Palpatine is the Sith Lord we've been looking for, and then Mace, in one of the worst line deliveries of all time, a Sith Lord? He's legitimately surprised by that. And I feel that it's not that they never suspected it, in my opinion, but I don't think Mace ever felt that it could have happened under their watch. I think he was like, man, yeah, he is surrounded by the dark side, so something must be influencing him. But I don't think in a million years he ever thought, maybe Palpatine is the Sith Lord. Because I think in his mind it's like, no, a Sith would never be able to do that. A Sith would never be able to become Chancellor and us not realize it. I think that's more what and I think that's kind of what you're saying. And I think you're right, that was the Jedi's kind of downfall. Uh, let's see here. So thank goodness that got cut out. The whole Obi-Wan Padme love affair. I love Lucas, but I'm not a fan of that. Neither am I. I mean, I'm glad it got cut out. Too convoluted. It takes the focus off what really I think mattered. Okay, the one thing I'm hoping for is more Rex in the final 2 episodes. Says Ed Sword. Ed Sword, what's up, man? I agree, man. I want to see him. I think we're going to see him. I mean, in my mind, you got to see him take out his inhibitor chip. You know, you got to. And I think he's going to be with Ahsoka when it happens. And perhaps maybe even the inhibitor chip is going to. I mean, what if it like misfires because he's with Ahsoka, and so he like doesn't know what to do because is Ahsoka's Jedi? Does Order 66 apply to her? And maybe I mean that might be a big moment for him where he has to actually make a decision of to do it or not, where he feels like he has to, but because of that slight gray area, because he's technically not a Jedi, he decides not to. I mean, that might be a really good emotional moment between them. You know, he has the blaster to her neck or whatever it might be. Might be kind of cool. I don't know. Okay. I know what's going to happen in the next episodes, but I don't know if I have the strength to watch it. I'm looking forward to the next episodes. I'm looking forward to seeing Order 66. I'm looking forward to seeing. I mean, I'm sure we're going to see Kanan Jarrus with his master and him escape from her. We'll probably finally see Shaak Ti, which, by the way, I'm pretty sure the canon death of Shaak Ti is already established, that she gets killed by Anakin in the Jedi Temple because Yoda sees a vision of Shaak Ti getting killed by Anakin in the Jedi Temple in one of the final episodes of Season 6. Okay. Your arrogance has blinded you, Master Yoda. Yeah, I think Palpatine's right when he says that. Straight up. We will see plenty of Rex. What we do see will tell the story. I love this episode, but I wish it were longer. At this point, does Rex still have the chip? I think he does still have the chip at this point. I don't think he's taken it out. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he hasn't. I also wish this one was longer. I really enjoyed episode 9 because it was so much longer. You know, it was like a solid 5 minutes longer, and it was just cool. I mean, I'm hoping these episodes 3 and 4 for this arc are longer because. Maybe not longer, but I'm just hoping that we get more story. You know, it's always a bad idea to take a small story and make it long just for the sake of making it long. But I'm hoping we get just more story. I'm hoping we dive into every question we've ever had about Order 66, of the logistics, of what happens with Rex, what happens with Ahsoka, why the clones follow Anakin into the Jedi Temple. All of this stuff. Do they recognize him as Anakin? All these things I hope that are covered. Do the clones just become mindless machines after Order 66, or do they still have some autonomy like they do beforehand? Or does Order 66 also kind of just override everything in their mind? Possibly. Okay. All right. Maybe Maul kills Rex to save Ahsoka. The two team up to survive. I suspect Palpatine will discard Maul. Well, Rex is still alive, so Rex doesn't die. Spoiler, because Rex is in Rebels, so that wouldn't happen. But maybe Maul tries to kill Rex. I don't have the strength for Jesse to execute it. I don't have the what I really liked in the episode previous to this one, episode 9, is that we see Obi-Wan save Cody's life. That awesome shot of the missile coming in, and it's coming to Cody, and Obi-Wan jumps in and just like dominates it. And we get that sweet, sweet shot of the camera panning up the lightsaber to his arm, and then Obi-Wan just looking at camera. I love that shot. I thought it was just giddy up. But that to me is like, it was nice to see Cody and Obi-Wan's relationship just a little bit. It was like a 10-second thing, but I loved it. Okay. Yeah, so let's see here. So Red Hood says, have you ever heard the tragedy of Shaak Ti the Killable? It's a canon legend. A Jedi so hated, Lucas has killed her in 3 different ways in one movie. Was it 3 different ways? Because I know she goes after him and gets killed on Grievous's command ship, the very opening scene. There's a deleted scene of that. And then she's also meditating in the Jedi Temple. and she gets killed by Anakin during Order 66. There's a deleted scene of that, and that's the one that gets seen by Yoda. Yoda has a vision of that in the final, or in like the season finale of season 6 of Clone Wars. It's a very blurry vision, so of course that can be changed, and of course, it's in motion. The Force is, so you can change that. But what's the third one? I don't remember a third one. Okay, but it's so funny. It's like George couldn't decide. For some reason, he wanted to kill Shakti, a character that we've never even talked to before. Okay, all right. Rex's mental state is going to be whack in the next episode. I'm 100% sure we'll see Rex struggle with his chip, and he'll overpower it through Ahsoka and his friendship, plus the no Jedi loophole. I think you're right on track. I think that's what'll happen. I think it'll be a powerful scene. Or he'll just say, "Oh, you're not a Jedi. I'm not going to kill you." Okay. I think she has another death in Order 66. Shakti, 15 deaths. Maybe she's Snoke. I think let's create a theory. Shakti is Snoke. She also dies at the hands of Starkiller. She dies at the hands of everybody. 2 deleted scenes of the Revenge of the Sith and Yoda's Clone War vision. Okay, I heard that last night. Didn't know about deleted scenes. Yeah, you gotta watch the Revenge of the Sith deleted scenes. There's a great whole story arc about the formation of the rebellion in those deleted scenes, and they're like finished scenes and everything. They're pretty. They're interesting. It's Mon Mothma, Senator Organa, Padme, and a few others. Okay, Dennis says, will we see Ahsoka learn about Anakin's fall to the dark side in this show? I don't think we will. I don't think so, because she doesn't realize, up until the point of Rebels, which is like, 16 or 14 years after this, she doesn't know Anakin's even still alive. This is, I guess, spoiler. But you had enough time to watch Rebels. If you have Disney Plus, go watch it. But she's flying in the Ghost with Ezra and Kanan, and they're being chased by Vader, and she connects to him with the Force, and she's has one of those eye-opening moments, and she realizes that who he is, or at least she senses Anakin, and she basically knows, but she has trouble accepting it. But Vader flat out says, "Your apprentice lives." So even Vader thought that she was dead until this point. So it'll be interesting to see how they part ways, and everything. But I mean, let's be honest. Like, if you're any Jedi, and you see Vader, you're never going to connect the two. Anakin didn't wear a big suit and a helmet. So unless you know the story of what happened to Obi-Wan, why would you connect the two? Okay. Dork Skywalker kills Ahsoka in every story he writes. All right. I think she'll sense it as well as Order 66. Yeah. So other predictions. What do we think is going to happen in the next episodes? We haven't had Gregor or Wolf yet, so we got to see why and how they take out their inhibitor chips. I'm really hoping that we get a little bit more of Anakin and his fall to the dark side. I'm really hoping we get more insights into that. I mean, I love Episode 3. It's my favorite Star Wars movie. So anything that can feed me when it comes to that story, I'm game for. So I'm looking forward to that. So Dreadhead says, I always thought that the last time they saw each other was going to be when Anakin was going to save Palpatine from Windu, but I'm glad she didn't see that Anakin. Who knows? Maybe when they have their conversation. I mean, I don't think it'll be that, because we kind of see exactly what happens in that interim between the point where he, what's it called? When he tells Windu that Palpatine is the Sith Lord, to when he actually goes. We know he goes to the Jedi Council Spire, and kind of has that rumination moment between him and Padme. But I think it's very likely, I'm hoping that in the conversation he has with her, that we'll get some insight to his thought process. We get a little bit of it when he talks to Padme, of course, but it'd be nice to get a little bit more insights, and even ask her for help. Of all people, maybe he'll ask her for help because she's not a Jedi, because maybe he feels like he can trust her more. With Obi-Wan, it's always a question, will Obi-Wan tell the council? So So Dale says the last time I saw him, he was rushing off to save Emperor Palpatine. Totally true. But that could mean the last time I saw him in person. I mean, they just set up that they're going to talk, so I would hope they don't just get rid of that setup. You know, I hope they pay it off with them actually talking again. Let's see here. I think the show will end on the Temple Raid. A good prediction. I think we'll see the Temple Raid in the next episode, or maybe the night, or maybe. I wonder. Maybe the beginning of Order 66 will take place at the end of that next episode, or if it'll be in the last episode. Okay. Red Hood says they need to show Anakin turn to the dark side, or at least mention it. I think they've got to delve into that. I mean, you got to. I mean, it is the entire crux of the entire Star Wars universe is that moment when Anakin Skywalker turns to the dark side. See, I don't think they could or should ignore it. Billy Bean, what's up? What's up? He loved this episode, as did we all. So Dale says, yeah. So Ahsoka tells, I think Ezra, that the last time she ever saw Anakin was when he was rushing off to save the Chancellor. Was she referring to just in person? Possibly. But Anakin also, like I was mentioning earlier, in a vision that she has, Anakin berates her for not helping her. Like, if you would have been there for me, all of this could have been prevented. Like his fall to the dark side, his, becoming more machine than man. I assume Padme's death. He kind of berates her, and so I'm thinking, we didn't get any of, there's never in that first episode of this arc where they do part ways. There's never any inclination that she needs to reach out to help him. I don't think Anakin would all be justified in saying you failed me, but possibly in this conversation that they're going, and I hope they have, I think he's going to ask for help in some way, shape, or form, and she's going to decline it, or for some reason she can't do it, or something. I think something's going to happen that will justify everything that has been said. Okay. She said the Chancellor, not Emperor. So the last time she saw him here, he could probably be the last time they saw each other. Yeah, so I think that's the last time they see each other. But they can still talk via holo, possibly. Points of view. Point of view. Star Wars is all about point of view. Okay, what else? What other things do we like from this episode? Let's see here. I'm just kind of cycle through all of this. It's very interesting to me also that Maul knew about Anakin, that Maul had a vision about Anakin becoming the apprentice and how he's the linchpin for it all. It just makes me wonder again of if Darth Maul could have a vision about this through the Force, why did the Jedi never have this vision? It's another instance of, this is good thing. Why did the Jedi never see Anakin's fall to the dark side? I mean, they feared it. We know that. But why did they never straight up foresee it? And Yoda did a little bit, but nobody else did. Okay, I'm guessing we'll revisit the Vader Star Destroyer bridge shot from Revenge of the Sith, but this time Vader tries to sense Ahsoka and vice versa. Roll credits with Vader breathing. So a fun fact is that at the end in Shards of the Past, that's a few hours after that bridge shot in Revenge of the Sith. So, kind of a fun little tidbit. So that's the same Star Destroyer they're on. Okay, that's why when they do that whole Star Destroyer shot, they're at one point, Sidious is overlooking the construction of the Death Star. Okay. The Dryden Voss cameo was really cool. Glad they're not. Dryden Voss was in this episode? Really? Dryden Voss is Paul Bettany's character, right? Is that right? Where was he? I'm curious. How old was Dryden Voss in this? Okay. Let's see here.
so confused. I thought the battle between Rex and 322 versus Guard Saxon was a Mandalorian. It was great. You guys picked up on that quick. I am confused now. Oh, 3 holograms talking to Maul. One of them was Dryden Voss? What? Let me see here. Let me see. Let's get to that because we got to see that nonsense. Where was that? It's when Ahsoka. Sorry, guys. I'm just looking for that. Let's get to that. Because, yeah, he says all the leaders of the crime syndicate to go into hiding. Let's see. Is that at the beginning? Sorry, guys. I'll believe you, though. So we see Dryden Voss. Interesting. That's very cool. Very cool. Okay. One of the syndicate members was talking to. So, I wish I could find that. All right. Did not recognize him. No, it's way before all this. Okay, whatever. I'll believe you guys. Totally believe you. Oh, there we go. There's Dryden Voss. That's who that is. You know, when I saw him, I'm like, kind of looks like maybe Hux's dad or something like that. I'm glad you mentioned that. I totally missed that one. Very cool. Dryden Voss. Yeah, you can kind of see the lines on his face and everything. Sweet, guys. Okay. All right. Good catch. So Dryden Voss has been around for a while, and he's had a long relationship with Maul. Cool. Okay, so this episode does a good job of building up the dread and horror of what's to come. The fact that someone as powerful as Maul was acting this way says a lot. Yeah, it does say a lot. That the fact that Maul's straight up going bat crazy at the end. Like, he's like, you guys don't know what you're doing. Y'all gonna die. I mean, we've never seen Maul act like that before. We've seen him. We, of course, know that he went a little crazy when, after, getting cut in half and, he had his spider legs. But it was just pure panic. It was pure just like loss of control and dread. I mean, that's a great way to put it, the way you put it. Very cool. Let's see here. So Jaden also thought it was a Hux at first. I mean, it looks like a Hux. It looks like a Hux. What are you going to do? Okay. He's like a cornered animal. Very good way to put it. So when, a lot of times when you direct, some of the things you can do are like as ifs, like, when he says he doesn't love you, act as if you got a screwdriver stuck in your belly button and twist it around. That's a random example. But, you could say, Maul, I want you to be as if you're a cornered animal. That's a great way to put it. Okay, so we've been going about 48 minutes now, but I think, we hit a lot of the great moments of this scene, of this episode. I'm very excited for the next one. I think, again, what I said at the beginning is that these first 2 episodes of this arc have truly been some of the best episodes of Clone Wars for me, some of the 2 best. It reminds me a lot of that kind of season 2 finale of Rebels, maybe because Ahsoka's involved, but it feels like this is actually of consequence to the entire Star Wars story. These are not filler episodes, and they're just well made. The dialogue is, for me, it was pretty solid. Maul, of course, is always over the top, but that's just what he is. I dig it. And I'm very excited to see the next bits. I loved this fight. I'm just curious to see where this goes. So, and I'm, like Red Hood says, I'm very glad the season picked up. The first 2 story arcs, to me, just were okay. But this is what I was hoping for. When they announced another season of Clone Wars, I was hoping for episodes that were going to connect in a way to the larger Star Wars story or that we had not hitherto seen. So I'm very happy about this. Okay, I love the way they cut between the Maul Ahsoka fight and Rex versus the Mandos. I don't know if someone mentioned that already, but it always had me on my seat, ready for Order 66. So I agree. Yeah, this whole bit where they were, fighting the Mandalorians. Ahsoka and Maul. That's their couple name, Ahsoka. So as Ahsoka were fighting, and we get to see all this, and we got Saxon, Lord Maul, we need your help. Yeah, we're getting overrun. And Maul says, all right, well, what do you want me to do about it? Very cool. And Dale does say the obvious. This was obviously a filler episode. No story in this episode. All right. Well, thanks, guys, for joining. Sorry I didn't hit this last night, but I'm glad we did it today. More of you had seen it. We'll pick it up again next week with poor Mandalore can't catch a break. That's another thing. I'm so happy you mentioned that. We are totally going to see the genesis of why they don't take off their helmets. Definitely. They're going to get exiled or whatever and all this thing. And it's something that they're going to say, until we reclaim our homeland, we will never take off our helmets again. Or something like that. That's going to happen. Calling it. We're finally going to get the reason of why they don't take off their helmets. Because obviously they take off their helmets in Clone Wars. But by the time we get to the Mandalorian, they aren't taking their helmets off no more. So I'm excited for that. So Billy, also have a great day. Have a great day, all of you. And today's movie for the watch list, if you're interested, is let's see here. Is WALL-E, directed by Andrew Stanton. So if you are following the watch list, I don't think it's in this video description, but it's there. Monday, as of right now, and I think it'll stay the same, is Dances with Wolves, and then Avatar. Basically the same storyline, but totally different executions. But they're both very, very long movies too. So, forewarning. It's been about 20 years since I saw Dances with Wolves. Okay. Thanks, guys, again. Have a great day. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Stay inside. And, stay spiffy. And don't do anything I want to do twice.